It is hard to believe, but it's been since September 2018 that we originally saw Nintendo Switch Online come to market. That's right, Nintendo Switch was once out there without any kind of paid online service, and we did ultimately see Nintendo build out the value for this thing. Initially, it's just online play access, NES games, save cloud data, and a couple other special offers features, and then over the course of time we of course saw them expand that to the SNES library of games, then the expansion pack tier dropping into the server, bringing N64 and Sega Genesis content, and ultimately the Game Boy expansion most recently in 2023, where we got the entire Game Boy family of systems available, the Game Boy and Game Boy Color on the base tier, and the Game Boy Advance on the expansion pack tier. And now we talk about the transition to Nintendo's next-gen hardware, and if you've been around on this channel for a while, you know that I've been touting up the idea that Nintendo will likely relaunch the service with some kind of 2.0, make it very clear that Nintendo Switch Online rolls forward, as we've seen them already communicate to their fans that it will be rolling forward, more or less without those exact words, as it's been stated that Nintendo account systems will roll forward, and value-added services have been pointed out on official slides from Nintendo as what's coming along with the Nintendo account. You could interpret that to mean just your eShop downloads, but I truly believe Nintendo is obviously talking here about their paid subscription service, that they're not going to want you to just stop paying once they come out with new hardware, of course. And while there could be things like additional tiers added into the 2.0 service, I do think that they will make a very clear distinction around what the future roadmap of the service looks like once we get to that big next-gen hardware reveal. And in this video today, I want to talk about my personal 5 must-have features that I do think Nintendo needs to deliver on when we're talking about Nintendo Switch Online 2.0. So we'll get on the same page for all of that. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And I have to first kick it off with what I would consider to be a very obvious feature, and one that the fans have been asking for far too long. I am talking about some kind of on-system text and voice chat, meaning you can message your friends on the Nintendo Switch 2, and you can also hop into a live voice chat with them. If there's concerns that Nintendo doesn't want to host the online portion of this themselves in terms of chatting with your friends while you're online like Sony and Xbox do, they could also pull a Sony and Xbox card and just integrate Discord, a third-party service. If you just allow the app to be integrated into your system, you're going to be able to chat with your friends that are already on Discord, which would be a nice third-party solution where Nintendo's hands are clean of everything, although I think they should still have their own on-system chat so you don't have to register for a third-party service. I personally would like to use Discord out of everything, but I know there's other people that just want to have it built into the console, and I think it's time in 2024 and 2025, when we likely see the hardware launch, to have some kind of solution to be able to talk to your friends directly on your console that you are playing on. It is ridiculous to have to use a Nintendo branded app on your phone to be able to call and voice chat somebody in a game that you were playing on. Now, there are some exceptions to the rule. Of course, there are some games that just support their own kind of chat lobbies online, and you can get in that way and talk to friends on the console, but you shouldn't have to worry about it being game specific or not. Whether you're on your home menu or in the same game or in completely different games, you should absolutely have the ability to be in a chat room together with each other via voice or text, and Nintendo absolutely needs to integrate this in at a very obvious level into the UI, so it's very clear. Maybe that additional button that we've seen leaked for Nintendo Switch 2 controllers is something of a function button to pull up like your party chat and stuff. That would be a very welcome addition. Anything that quickly allows you to access messages and or voice groups with friends. Gamers like to play together when they play things, and I think that that is a no-brainer idea that Nintendo absolutely needs to deliver on as part of their Nintendo Switch Online 2.0 service. Number 2 is a feature that I do think you can obviously argue is more of just a system level feature, but I could see a world where Nintendo actually does lock it behind their premium paid subscription service, and I am talking about some kind of live dynamic theme support for their next-gen hardware. It would be nice to have any kind of theme support, but assuming that this next-gen console is going to be quite a bit more powerful, there's no reason why Nintendo shouldn't be giving us live dynamic backgrounds for The Legend of Zelda, Mario, Animal Crossing, Smash Bros, all your favorite franchises. Imagine just having a customizable, nice background on the go or on your TV wherever you are playing. And like I said, it might be a greedy move, but even if Nintendo wants to lock this feature to their paid subscription service, I think just having it there would be a huge win. And it's also an additional revenue driving opportunity for them, as a lot of the competition will charge for dynamic backgrounds, and maybe there's some more simple ones that just come free that you can switch between, but you could also have these dynamic themes as paid options that a lot of people, myself included, would probably pay a couple bucks for. Some kind of live Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom dynamic background that you can set up on your home screen. I think that customization like that is really sorely missing in the Nintendo Switch generation. It was way better on the 3DS, and even felt like the Wii U had more personality than what we have with the Nintendo Switch when it comes to customization. And so I'm ready to see some of that stuff change around, and I do hope that Nintendo doesn't sleep on that this time around. And it'd be really cool if they even went a step further and let you create your own backgrounds for your console. Like if you want to take a screenshot of your favorite game and set that as your background, that would be a big win as well. Maybe that's the kind of feature that's free, and then you have some special edition dynamic themes that can only be unlocked or paid for when you are a Nintendo Switch Online member. I think that that's something that Nintendo can implement and drive additional dollars, so it's a win-win for us and for them. Number 3 is a trophy and achievement system for Nintendo Switch Online. Legitimately every platform has it at this point. I definitely see some comments that say, I don't want trophies, I don't want achievements. That's okay, you don't have to go unlock them. I personally like them. It definitely adds some replay value to games that I maybe otherwise wouldn't go through multiple times to try to get multiple different endings. It also just helps motivate you to go for some of the deeper secrets in games that maybe you wouldn't go for all the Korok seeds in a Legend of Zelda game, but you're gonna do it to get that platinum trophy at the end of it to show it off on your online profile. Like, things like that are really fun, and it's really cool to see scrolling through your friends list just how serious some people take their games libraries. Some of them are not going to go through every game, but certain games will be 100%ed across the board. Similar to me with my FromSoft games on my PS5 being the Soulsborne and Elden Rings of the world. I have those 100%ed because they're very important for me to 100%. Same thing goes for the classic God of War games and other franchises that have been big to me on PlayStation over the years. I like to have that 100% badge on those games, and I wish that Nintendo would do something similar and not just this missions and reward system that we've kind of seen them dipping their toe into, where you can do certain things in a game and unlock like a reward. No, let's go full achievements, full trophies. Every third-party game is essentially already doing the work for these, so it's a no-brainer for those, and Nintendo could create their own for their first-party content very easily. So this for me is a shoe-in feature that makes too much sense for Nintendo not to do, and a must for Nintendo Switch Online 2.0. Feature number 4 is free game downloads as a paid Nintendo Switch Online 2.0 subscriber. Now, yes, we have a huge library of retro consoles on the Nintendo Switch currently, and we definitely need to expand that, which we will be getting to in a moment. But we shouldn't only be talking about super retro games. We should also be talking about some of the smaller third-party games, some indie games even, just some of the ones that didn't quite perform up to expectations on the consoles, or even some that did, and you get a nice treat every now and then where 2, 3, or even 4 games a month is added in as a benefit for being a Nintendo Switch Online 2.0 member. I am not opposed to this being locked behind the highest tier. The expansion pack tier makes a lot of sense right now. If we see a third tier enter in, well, we better get some additional value for it. And Nintendo can absolutely, for the kind of revenue they are generating, write some checks out to developers to throw those games in as free perks for paid subscribers. And the cool thing is it's a win-win, because Nintendo, while they do give away a free game to us up front, you have to remain a paid subscriber in order to access that game, just like you do on PlayStation Plus. If I let my PlayStation Plus expire, I have a whole library of games that I immediately wouldn't have access to until I become a member again, because I've been slowly adding them to my library over the course of time. And they're not all the best top tier games that I want to hop into and play all the time, but they're very nice to have and have done a good job of consistently adding value to staying a paid subscription member for that service. And I think Nintendo can absolutely do the same thing here with Nintendo Switch Online 2.0. And even if it's an occasional, very rare first party game from them, maybe one of their $30 releases like NES World Championships, or if they go more of that smaller third party and indie route, I still think they should be doing something from a value add perspective with their games library, especially when you stop and think that on the Switch 2, we're gonna presumably have an entire giant eShop library of Switch 1 games that is all backwards compatible and can be played on their next gen hardware. So what a better way than to drive some additional NSO 2.0 value than giving us some of those games monthly for free as part of the paid subscription. I think it makes a lot of sense, and I hope Nintendo does too. And lastly, feature number 5, and I would say probably most important for most Nintendo Switch Online paying members out there, it's none other than a big expansion of brand new gaming systems when it comes to their retro library of games. Because as mentioned, today we have NES, SNES, N64, Game Boy Advance, and Sega Genesis as the console lineup for playable consoles. I am hoping by time we're talking about the midway point of the Switch 2's life cycle that we have at the bare minimum DS, 3DS, GameCube, and Wii games all playable and available on Nintendo Switch Online 2.0. I don't think they're going to launch all at the same time. There is a shot that GameCube and Wii might launch at the same time since they're a similar visual fidelity. There's also a shot that DS and 3DS could launch at the same time, and maybe they're sent to different tiers or something like that. But I do think Nintendo will more than likely stretch these out one at a time because they each have deep libraries that Nintendo can pull from to kind of continue to drip feed and grow the subscription service. And that's largely what their plan is, because as much as you would love to see everything front loaded all at once for their classic retro consoles, they're not going to do that. They're playing the long game and they want to keep you subscribed for the long haul. And part of that strategy just comes down to making you wait to get everything you want to play so you remain a subscriber over the years. But nonetheless, DS, 3DS, GameCube, and Wii, I think are all heavily in the conversation for the next-gen hardware and Nintendo Switch Online 2.0. And the big question is going to come down to how do they solve for the touchscreen input on DS and 3DS? Well, we don't know what the controller looks like for the next-gen console. I'm not necessarily expecting it to have a touchscreen, but I wouldn't be opposed to Nintendo selling a Nintendo Switch Online Special Edition controller that does have a touchscreen of some sort to solve for that problem. But all I know is that we have a lot of DS and 3DS classics we need to be able to play on a large TV screen, and hopefully they get the Pokemon team involved and on board with all of the different retro consoles. Like, if you throw all the classic Pokemon games on there, you have a whole nother literal millions of users that will join when that happens. But we need to be able to have these games playable in some way, shape, or form. I hope it's not anything wonky that they come up with, like maybe if you don't get the touchscreen controller, then the backup is you use the Joy-Con to point and aim with the gyro motion, and you're doing it that way to point and click on the touchscreen that is on your TV screen. Still not ideal. I think as long as Nintendo does release some kind of touchscreen controller, I will get it and we'll be happy with it. But DS, 3DS are going to be a little bit of ones to solve for. GameCube and Wii are shoe-in my opinion, and some motion controls need to be reworked to the Joy-Con for Wii, and hopefully they give you the option to assign them to traditional button controls if you would choose to. But I'm hopeful for all of that and more to come in the next generation of Nintendo Switch Online, and that's where I really want to hear from you guys at this point in the video. What do you hope we see out of the future of this service? How are you feeling about where it's at today? And are you on the same page with the 5 features that I want to see? Or do you not want to see some of those and you do want to see others? And which ones that are missing from my top 5 list would you personally recommend and would you say are a must-have feature for Nintendo Switch Online's future on their next-gen hardware? So make sure you share all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below before you leave, regardless if we agree or disagree. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, turn your notification bell. And with that, I've been Sunbro, you've been Nation. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.